I thought that was a 9. Okay, anyways, go on. Do your intro.
Hey everyone, welcome to Smart Moves. We are really kicking things off now. The new expansion is out. That was our sort of starting point for starting fresh on a new channel and everything. So today we're going to be talking about Witchwood. We're not going to be showcasing any deck play or anything like that today, but we're going to be talking about our thoughts, some of the cards we're interested, deck ideas, and choosing a class for next week. So lots of fun stuff today. Even more stuff coming up in the forthcoming weeks. So, as always, with the delayed introductions, I'm Setsuko, joined by Slicky.
Hi.
And we're just going to hop right into it here. So, hit up this Witchwood since we can see stuff in game now, and that's fun. So before we get down into the nitty-gritty details, what are your impressions? I know we both had the chance to play some games yesterday, and I know you've played a little bit today. I think I played a little more than you did late into the night last night, but what are you thinking so far?
Oh, I really like the new expansion. I do. I mean, like, maybe it's just like, oh, this new expansion, but I feel like I wasn't this excited even with Kobolds and Catacombs, and I like those cards even more.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's a pretty familiar thing. Like I've got a similar impression. Like I think I was more excited about Kobolds and Catacombs cards, less excited about these cards, but I've realized that I think we weren't paying as much attention to like the odd and even deck concepts. And some of these other concepts, if you're not worried about getting, to legend necessarily, but you just want to have fun with decks that have a decent win percentage. There's a lot of stuff you can do now, especially in I will make sure to say right now, my experiences, my impressions are all 100% wild, like
okay.
no standard at all. I
No.
haven't dabbled in standard even a little bit yet, so but it's been a lot of fun so far.
Okay.
And have you mostly been playing standard?
Well, when you and I were playing yesterday, I made a bunch of wild decks just because I was going to be playing against you in wild anyways.
Right.
So I played a couple of games in Wild with some of those, and yeah, I would have to say the biggest thing is like I think it goes part and parcel with the rotation. Is just that right now, like they've everything's balanced, and I know that there are still these really strong decks like Void Lord deck, that are still remnants of the last expansion that are really strong, but like I can play a warrior deck that even though like it's just something I made up and it's not refined,
Right.
it's still decent.
It does.
It
It
never,
does
it doesn't
okay.
feel, huh?
It does okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm playing like a class that just literally cannot win.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, if I work on this deck a little bit and I figure out how it works and I change some of the cards, I could probably actually get a decent win percentage with this. And it feels like that with every class right now, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think this sunk in for me with Kobolds and Catacombs because we had a lot going on, but we were doing not smart moves, but just showcasing decks at the time. And the first one we did was Druid. I came up with this recruit Druid I keep talking about. And not only was it fun, it did really well. For like the first 2 months or so of the expansion, I played it enough to get my ranks up and do quests and stuff like that. And, I get my email from Blizzard and it's like, hey, you had a 60% win rate with Druid. And I'm like, well, that's the only deck I played, so that's not bad. And then the last 2 months or so of the expansion, it was not up to snuff. Like, it was not good enough. I occasionally would crush people, but my win percentage went way down. And, people had figured out, okay, these are the powerful decks. These are the things to use. This is what's good. So I think this volatile period, the first month or two of the expansion, is a great time to get in and try to play some decks that may not necessarily cut it on the second half of the expansion. So it's been good though. It's been cool. So so before we get into talking about some actual deck concepts and stuff we had, I'm going to go through and take a look at the overall cards for the classes and just say, is there any cards in particular that are a lot worse than you expected, a lot better than you were hoping for, or that have really kind of come out and surprised you, or, anything like that. So we'll kick things off with Druid, and I've got this on crafting so we can look at, the stuff I don't have, but yeah, we'll go page by page here just to make it kind of simple. Yeah, go ahead. I've messed around with Witching Hour in my Recruit Druid, and I also looked into it pretty hard when deck building, and I don't think there's a lot of beasts yet that make it super viable. So it hasn't been as great as I hoped. It hasn't been bad, but not as great as I had hoped that it could possibly be. Ferocious Howl has been pretty solid, and actually Bewitched Guardian has been pretty good as well. So
okay. Those are the main cards that I've worked with as well. Well, I didn't really work. I played Bewitched Guardian once, and it got silenced, and so it was just trash. Ferocious Howl, I want to say, is pretty much purely better than Shield Block. You think Shield Block, it's, well, at least you're always getting 5. Well, with Ferocious Howl, you're drawing a card, and if you're playing it on curve, then you're pretty much guaranteed to have, 5 cards in hand.
Yeah, and for me, Ferocious Howl has been draw a card, gain a bunch of armor, instantly upgrade your Spellstone. Yeah, and that has been huge. Being able to do all 3 of those things in one card has been really, really good so far. So, have you you didn't try Druid of the Scythe, or have you seen anyone play that at all?
I have not tried it, and I haven't seen anyone play it. I think people are mostly trying to figure out what the viable decks are, and I'm not saying that card's not viable, but it's not obviously viable.
Yeah, it seems underpowered, so...
Yeah, so even if it is correctly powered. And then Witching Hour, I've actually had really good success with so far.
What have you generally been getting back from it?
Charged Devilsaur. What else would you do with it?
Yeah, so, Charged Devilsaur. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, I do a ramp deck, and kind of a big druidy deck, and then you use Curator, or you just draw into Charged Devilsaur, you play it, you let it die. And I was playing it in Wild, so not only did I have Witching Hour, but I also had Menagerie Warden. And so it's really, really easy to get at least 14 burst in one turn using Witching Hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you pair that up with Charged Devilsaur, you can do some really gross stuff.
Yeah, and I found that the Bewitched Guardian in combination with other cards that you play in an odd druid has been pretty good, because you have enough things that if 1 or 2 get silenced, of course it sucks, but that means your other ones don't get silenced. And that will bring us to one of the cards on the second page here. Gloomstag has actually been pretty decent. Playing it, I've been playing an odd druid, Bran in there. You get a double battle cry off that, or things like that. It hasn't been too bad. I was looking at this card, not expecting it to be too good, but I just loved the concept and the artwork, and I was like, I gotta do something that uses this card, and it's done better than I expected. Not phenomenally amazing, but I wasn't expecting it to be great. Also, look at what I got. I haven't done anything with that card yet, but yeah.
Yeah. And some people are playing Whispering Woods. I've played against it once, and I had Blood Razor, and it was just gone. So.
And which legend did you get a druid legendary?
Nope, no druid legendaries.
All right. Well, let's move on to Hunter. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I haven't made any hunter decks, not a single one.
Okay. Well, as you know, I've made a couple. Hunting Mastiff, I think, is both better than and worse than I expected. Like, better than because you can get a good amount of value on it. And for the type of deck I've been playing, it works out pretty good, getting things to die. Worse than because it holds no buffs whatsoever, period. Like, if you Dire Frenzy your Hunting Mastiff into your deck, the first one comes out as a 5/4, and then the copy that comes back in your hand is a 2/1 again, and like that's way more disappointing and boring than it maybe could have been. But maybe it'd be too OP to have, a repeatable 5/4 rush minion. Wing Blast has been about as good as I expected it to be. It's been quite good.
Yeah.
Carrion Drake I've had some success with. It seems like sometimes it feels like a dead card. Other times it's like, okay, I dropped this big dragon with poison on it, and that's pretty good. Haven't got the chance to try Rat Trap yet.
You played Carrion Drake against me, and like if you don't have any removal, that card just sits there, and you just can't play anything. So pretty good, I think.
Dire Frenzy, I think Dire Frenzy is good, but I haven't personally worked it into a spot where it's awesome. And then Vile Brood Skitterer has actually been better than I expected.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because playing in Hunter, depending on the style of your deck and things like that, if someone drops a Lich King or whatever and you don't have Hunter's Marks, or, like you're perfectly fine with this thing dying to kill a Lich King, right? Like, it hasn't been bad. And then there are times when you're able to buff it, or you're just able to bump it into something, that has 1 attack or 2 attack, and you can get 2 trades off of it. So it's been pretty good, actually. I thought this card would be complete garbage, but I've been having fun with it. And then I don't have Imerus, but it's really, really easy to get him off Netherspite Historian.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Because it only discovers from the neutral pool and the hunter pool, and it's a 400% bonus to find a class card. Or 400% bonus to find a class card. So, all Hunter has is Carrion Drake and Imerus. So it's really easy to get him for free. So don't craft him. Just put another Spite Historian in your deck. In Wild, anyway. I've been having a lot of fun with Hunter. I have less experience with Mage. Have you played any Mage?
I have played some Mage.
All right, take it away then. Oh wait, did you get a Hunter Legendary?
No.
Me neither. No. All right, Mage.
I've been working with a card draw kind of tempo-y Mage, and it's terrible. Just gonna go ahead and say it's bad. It's really bad, but it's not because I don't think it's because there's not any potential there. I just think it's because I'm putting in too weak of early game minions. I need stronger early game because I keep losing. Because if you're going to play a Book of Specters, you don't want to run that many spells, and if you're a mage and you're not playing early game spells, how are you controlling the board? So you need really strong early game minions to compensate if you're going to be playing Book of Specters and kind of a tempo style deck. Arcane Keysmith is awesome. The couple of times that I've played it, it's really handy. I played it against like another mage, and I think he had like Potion of Polymorph up or something, so he turned my 2/2 into a 1/1, but I also got a counterspell in play off of it, and that was fantastic. A lot of people are running Bonfire Elemental. They're running Mage Elemental decks. That's kind of the only big thing that's coming up right now. But one of the cards that I was actually messing around with was what is it? Curio Collector, the 5 mana. Yeah, Curio Collector. A really fun thing you can do with Curio Collector, and it doesn't work that often, but if you could build the deck right, I think it wouldn't be that hard. I played Curio Collector once I had 10 mana, and I had already played Deck of Wonders,
Yeah.
and then I played like Book of Specters, so he got +3 off that, and then I played Arcane Intellect, and every time I would draw a scroll, it would cast a spell, and it would draw another card. By the end of the turn, I had an 11/11 Curio Collector, so that
Nice.
was pretty awesome. So Curio Collector has surprising synergy with Deck of Wonders,
Which we know is a deck that I'll, I'll end up playing for sure. And
right?
you got Toki, right?
I got Toki, and I got Brand Bronzebeard today.
Oh.
It didn't do anything in the deck I was playing, but
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's something that you could do with it, but yeah, Toki itself is a really fun card, although not always that great.
I had a mage deck that I really wanted to play. It involved having Archmage Argal and Dollmaster, and I didn't get either one. So that kind of died. The other stuff I've been trying hasn't been amazing. I will say Black Cat is real strong if you're
Mm,
playing Odd Mage.
seems
So
like it. Yeah, the mage deck that I'm running, I actually do run Dull Master Dorian, but I always draw him last, and then he's just dead. So
yeah. All right. Paladin. So I will kick this one off. I've got a couple different Paladin decks. Sound the Bells is like MVP for me right now. It's so good. Like you wouldn't think, like wow, Divine Favor. Just or what is it? Divine Strength. I think the
yeah,
the 1 mana. It's just so good. It's so easy to get like minions on the board as paladin, and then turn 6 comes around, and you're like, you get a +1/+2, you get a +1/+2, you get one, and yeah, it's been sick. Ghostly Charger has done some work for me, and yeah, I think those have just been pretty good.
yeah. Sound the bells. I have a deck. It's an even deck, an even paladin deck, because just being able to constantly generate 1/1s can be really frustrating for your opponent.
Yeah.
And I play Sound the Bells in there, and a lot of times just having a 1/1 body on board and then just being like, oh, you think you're going to out tempo me? Okay, well now he's a 3/5 or
Right.
whatever it is. It's fantastic. It's really strong, and I don't remember how I did it, but I got Paragon of Light at some point in time,
Mm-hmm.
and Sound the Bell plus Paragon of Light is awesome. Especially like sometimes they'll like I somehow or other they dropped Paragon of Light's attack like with the that priest card that swaps attack back to 2,
Oh
and then I
yeah.
just buffed it up again with the different Sound the Bells, and Paragon of Light was really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've
Uh,
gotten her out, but haven't used her in too many games, like enough to know how good she is. So I obviously got the Glass Knight. He's in one of my decks, but I've never drawn him. Like what? I've got, I think 16, 18 different decks I've been trying out since yesterday, so I haven't played like 10 games with every one of them, but I haven't got the chance to draw him yet, so I don't know how good he is.
yeah,
Um, and you didn't get a Paladin Legendary, correct?
no.
Okay.
Uh, I put Rebuke in my Paladin deck, but so far I haven't used it. But it seems to me so far that the meta is going to have to kind of settle down before that card gets good because you need to know what people are going to play on each
Right.
turn before you start using it. So,
Yep.
oh, Silver Sword was actually pretty good too, especially with my even deck because you always have stuff on the board.
Hmm.
So at the very least, you're getting like +2/+2 every time you swing the sword. So it's actually pretty solid.
Hmm. Do you run one copy or two?
I only have one copy.
Oh, okay. Priest.
Priest. Yes, I like Priest.
Well, let's see. Did you get a Priest Legendary?
I did. I got Chameleos.
Okay. I really want to craft Lady in White, but I just can't make myself. So.
Yeah, it seems really solid, but I haven't seen anybody playing it, which is bizarre to me. Um, yeah, Chameleos is insane. Chameleos is really, really powerful because sometimes just having, I think I was kind of drunk last night, but when I was playing, I Chameleos into somebody else's like big board clear or something, and they were just like, "Fuck it, I'm done. I can't deal with this." Uh, yeah, Chameleos is so solid because they can't predict like if you thought steal or something, they can be like, "Oh, well, he might have got my Hellfire," but they don't know if you have Chameleos or not.
Right.
So if you've got Chameleos, there's all kinds of just like, "Oh, well, guess what? I'll get Twisting Nether, and you're screwed." Kinds of stuff you can do. Chameleos is so powerful, and the scouting aspect is great.
Well, when
Yeah,
we were
it's
playing yesterday against each other, you messaged me and you said, "Oh, you've already got Valinir," and I was like, "How the hell does he know I got Valinir?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, he's probably playing Chameleos."
yeah. I was
So,
wondering if you would pick up on that. Yeah,
I've
it's way better than Shifter Zerus, but then again, I
yes,
never had Shifter Zerus, so I don't know.
yeah. I've been playing a couple priest decks, and I actually enjoy both of them, but they aren't using any of these priest cards except for Quartz Elemental and a Silence Priest, and I haven't played that one enough to, um, know how great it is. I've been using more of the neutrals in those decks, so I don't have a lot of commentary on the new priest cards. So
Quartz Elemental to me seems kind of weak just because, like, well, just because for you, because you're playing Wild, like, Draconid Operative's a 5 mana 5/6. Quartz Elemental's a 5 mana 5/8 with a condition.
well, like I
So,
said, this is for a Silence Priest, so it's just having, I guess, more targets for silence seems to be pretty good because you have like Humongous Razor Leaf, um, Ancient Watcher.
I guess
So,
Lady in White would probably. It's probably not an aura effect, so once you silence them, they probably go back to normal. Because it says inner fire. It doesn't say all of your minions have attack equal to health.
right.
So.
All right. I did see someone play this against me, and I was like, "Oh, good. They just played that. I don't care." uh, Rogue. Rogue.
Rogue. I feel like I made one of these decks, but I didn't play it yet.
So I made Rogue, right? I've got all the cards. I'm missing one Cutlass, one Wanted. Let's see, Blink Fox, just as good as we thought it would be. Pickpocket, actually not that bad. If it's like turn 10, you're just like, I just need to generate value. And either because of the state of the board, like sometimes like you don't have anything on board, your opponent doesn't really have anything on the board, or whatever they have isn't that threatening, so it's okay to pickpocket. And I, kind of thought, why would you want to waste your turn like cycling cards? But this is okay, and especially when you have a Test Greymane to follow it up with at some point.
Right.
That's been pretty good. I have Face Collector in a deck, but I haven't had the chance to use him yet.
Yeah. Blink Fox, I'm a little disappointed with his entrance noise. I thought it was going to be higher pitched and cuter, but it's like this deep. Ow! So that was really sad to me when I saw that. But every rogue I played against is running 2 copies of Blink Fox.
Because... Yeah, why wouldn't you? 3 mana, 3/3, draw a random card. Seems good. So. All right. Well, before we talk about other Shaman cards, we should probably talk about the card that now has its own website.
Has its own website?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
What's he say when he comes out?
I don't know.
He says like my teeth that bite, my claws that catch. If you go to that.com, it's just a screen with a picture, and every time you click it, it pops him up on the screen and says his voice line, and then you can
It's
click
like that whole
again.
Jade Golem thing.
And
Okay.
so, yeah, this card is as batshit crazy as it looked like on stream, but even more so. I think what's really been frustrating people is the amount of time it takes for all his animations and stuff to finish. So
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that this is the first deck that's defining the new meta.
yes,
Uh, I the only deck that I'm consistently running up against is Shudderwalk Shaman, and it's always the same. It's always, and they're trying to do that really long convoluted combo with life drinkers and stuff, and like it honestly doesn't seem that powerful to me. If you can like just beat them on board, rush them down, then they just lose. But I feel like they like the idea of an OTK, but I think it's really quickly going to be kind of done away with.
yeah,
You
I
just
think so as well because from everything I've been reading and seeing, like aggro just destroys it.
yeah,
So
I played a rush warrior that just yeah totally annihilated it. So because if they can't hold the board, like they have healing rain, which is good, but if they don't draw their healing rains, then you can just keep bashing them in the face until they lose because they have to do all these different conditions before they can get their OTK.
yeah,
And even then, the OTK normally isn't one turn because it takes so long to go through all the different Shudderwalk animations.
yeah.
So other cards.
I haven't done too much with Shaman. I feel like Zap is pretty good. Blazing Invocation, I've been fairly disappointed by most of the options that I've gotten. Just because there's so many Battlecry minions, like especially in Wild, the pool is so huge. It's really hard to. I think Battlecry is probably the most common keyword in Hearthstone, and so the pool's really large. It hasn't been quite as good as I had hoped it would be. Zap's pretty good. Yeah, that's all I got. You got
I
Hagatha, right?
Yeah, I got Hagatha. Um, I think they might have actually been right. I think Hagatha itself might be OP. Uh, when they came up with that video.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to play this deck just because everybody's playing Shaman, and if everybody's playing a deck, then I naturally get to where I'm like, I don't want to play that deck or anything similar to it.
Well, it's
Um,
all you see all the time, and that's boring.
yeah, so I don't want to be part of the problem. I don't want people to queue up to me and be like, oh, here's another Shudderwalk deck,
Hmm.
and then, just quit or something. So I haven't been playing it, but I was playing a Hagatha deck, and there are a lot of new cards that just generate tons and tons and tons of value, like add 2/1/1s to your hand, add a 2-cost minion to your hand, add this, add that, and then there's Witch's Apprentice, there's Ghostlight Angler. It's so easy to play Hagatha and just fill your hand in like one turn after that, full of spells. And you can just get massive and massive amounts of value and have an answer for everything they play on board, to where Hagatha itself is just a win condition. So I think Hagatha is probably on par with Shudderwalk, but because of its random nature, people don't want to play that because Shudderwalk's a sure thing. Hagatha, there's a chance you might not get the spell you need, but I think Hagatha is really good though.
Yeah, and I think that Hagatha Shaman is probably going to be the Shaman that lasts simply because, yeah, people are going to learn, okay, if Shudderwalk is a thing, we just aggro it down.
Right.
And that's going to open up space for a different Shaman deck. And I feel like Hagatha will be able to better tailor to counter aggro than the Shudderwalk deck will, because the Shudderwalk deck has to play cards to get the combo off. Like, it limits the deck building pretty hard.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's like 5 different cards you have to play before you even play Shutterwalk. It just seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and they have to keep the board clear the whole time. Yeah, and yeah, Ghostlight Angler pretty solid. I wasn't sure if it would be, but it is. Um, Earth and Might, I haven't used it that much. It seems really good. Witch's Apprentice is pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't built a elemental shaman deck yet, so I haven't used Earth and Might. I originally was trying to Battlecry Shaman as well, and then within an hour of the expansion being out, it was like Shutterwalk, and I was just like, okay, I don't want to play Battlecry Shaman right now,
Right.
even though I wasn't doing exactly that. But yeah, I definitely do like that Shaman has a lot more options that aren't just overload, and also the cards for Shaman this expansion seem less silly than they were in previous expansions. So
You mean like Free Shaman?
yes,
I still wish I had Murabi. I like the idea of Murabi.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if they do any more free Shaman in the future, then maybe at some point it'll be viable. Maybe not.
I'm really kind of surprised that it doesn't see play just because of like what is it? It's not Frost Elemental.
Frozen
Glacial
Crusher?
Shard.
Oh, Glacial Shard?
Yeah, because Glacial Shard is a really powerful 1 mana card, and Elemental Shaman itself isn't bad. So just being able to play Murabi and following it up with Glacial Shard seems like a really strong combo. But what do I know?
You're going to be the one. You got to make the deck.
I would have to craft an old card, and I don't usually craft old cards.
So you just got Hagatha, correct? Or did you get both?
I only get Hagatha.
Okay. And I just got Shutterwalk. So, all right, on to Warlock. Played any Warlock?
No. Have you?
No. No,
I
I'm just
didn't
kidding.
really
Yeah,
play
I did.
Warlock. Yeah, just because it's still a thing, But
So not getting into talking to the decks too much yet. Man, I think Ratcatcher is really good. I just need to draw it. that's
yeah,
been
you
my
said
issue.
you thought it would be really good.
And I do think it will still be really good. But I haven't played enough games for that, and I've been looking at Dark Possession as well. And yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to play those decks enough yet.
Right.
But I think the few times that I got these, they felt about as good as I thought they were going to be. So.
Yeah, I think in general, Ratcatcher, or not Ratcatcher, but Rush, we can talk about this some more when we get into Warrior, but Rush is a really awesome, strong mechanic. But it might not be good in the current meta game. Because Rush is a mechanic that primarily focuses on board control and beating other decks that are like aggro focused, to where you can just beat up all their small minions with your bigger Rush minions. And right now, like, you're playing against Q Block, which is only running like 8/8s and 3/9s and 5/7s, and there aren't new Rush minions that are that big. Or you're playing against like I said, it does actually pretty good against Shutterwalk, but now that, like, it would be better against things like Rush would be better against things like the like Dude Paladin, where you're just not letting them stick anything to the board because your minions are bigger and you can do like a 2-for-1 trade with all of your minions. But since aggro is not really a thing right now, it's not as powerful as I think it will be.
That is why I think Valbrood Skitterer is pretty dang good. Because
I'll trust you on that.
It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what size the minion is. If they drop a Void Lord, you can kill it.
What about Tyrion Fordring?
Well, then you're playing Hunter, and you've probably got something that you can chuck in to get the shield off, like Unleash the Hounds or any number of things. But yeah, Warriors or Warlock is something still got to work on. So And you did get Glinda, right?
Yeah, wait, I did. Yeah,
You played like one
it's actually,
game and I instantly killed her.
yeah, which was really sad. Um,
uh,
I think she is a good card, but like my entire deck was built around her, and you just killed her. You have to have board control before she actually starts working. But like, there's some really cool combos you could do. Like, I put in pretty much only cheap minions that I thought would benefit from having multiples, like Voidwalker. Just to be able to create a wall of 1/3s is really good. Um, I can't remember what else I put in there. I think I put in like Feral Gibberer. If they can't clear your Feral Gibberers, then you'll probably just win. There's all kinds of like cool little cheap minions, glacial shards. You can just keep freezing their board over and over. There's really cool stuff you can do with Glinda, but yeah, getting her to stick is the hard part.
yeah. Because she's the target for instant removal. It's like, oh, hell no.
Yeah,
Nope.
but I think she is going to be really powerful once somebody can figure out how to keep her alive.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Warrior. And I'll just say that I've just been messing around with modifications on Quest Warrior. And so I haven't used a whole lot of the new cards. I haven't used any of the new Warrior cards in that deck. So
Oh, you just used the new
I've used
Echo
neutrals.
Taunt.
Well, no, I wanted to do odd Quest Warrior,
Thank you.
so that's what I've been doing. You're welcome. No, just
Not you, my wife. My beautiful wife that made me coffee and brought it to me in my One Punch Man mug.
nice. But you have done a whole lot more with Warrior and the relevant class cards from this expansion. So why don't you talk about? Well, first off, did you get a legendary?
I got Darius,
All right.
old Darius Crowley.
All right. Well, take it away. This one's all you.
Take it away. Uh, yeah, like I just threw in all the rush minions, and like I said before, they're really strong. But like even though I can tell when I'm playing the deck because it flows really well. You get your 2-drop, your 3-drop, your 4-drop, your 5-drop. You can keep your curve low and just kind of dominate the board early game. But playing against control, they're just going to keep killing all your stuff, and there's not much you can do against that right now. But I get the feeling just from playing it that if the time does come when people start playing aggro decks again, that Warrior's probably going to be the best class. That's my thought. Woodcutter's Axe is a strong answer for most early stuff. Red Band Wasp is pretty solid, especially if you compare it up with something like Blood Razor. Darius Crowley, I haven't had much success with, just because if you're dropping him on turn 5, right now, like, you're dropping him against Mountain Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's useless.
Right.
So, and I did incorporate, I think you saw that I incorporated some recruit
Yes.
your party.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out great because you would get Militia Commander without the battle cry, or you'd get a weaker rush minion. So I took those out. And the deck does struggle a little bit with draw, but I think you can use most of the old school warrior draw cards like Acolyte or Battle Rage. Battle Rage is really solid. Anything where it's like whenever a minion takes damage is really solid with Rush because you can trigger it the same turn. You can play a minion, cause it damage, and then play Battle Rage, which is
that's a good point. That's one of the decks I wanted to make, but I was like 5 legendaries away from my theory craft of it, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing this deck. So
yeah, I've been playing a lot. Well, I say a lot. I drafted a warrior deck for Arena. It's the only Arena I've played so far. Right now I'm 3-1 though, because Rush is so powerful in Arena because you just control the board, and that's what Arena is all about. So I think Warrior has gone from the worst Arena class to probably the best Arena class, like that. So that's pretty fantastic. And then I also threw in some Frothing Berserkers, I think, into that Arena deck, and beat one guy with like a 14-3 Frothing Berserker on turn 5. So,
All right. Well, let's talk about neutral minions, and we'll go page by page here.
okay. What have you been
Hmm?
What have you been using?
Well, without getting into, like I said, I want to stay away from talking about like, oh, this is the deck concept and just the cards in general. On this particular page, I've used Swamp Dragon Egg and Vicious Scalehide, and they've been okay. You know,
Yeah, I don't really get Swamp Dragon Egg.
well, without getting too much into the deck, use it in Hunter, and a lot of times, there's a couple decks that I use it in, but yeah, you can just get some beastly dragons for free.
Does it normally give you Hunter? Does it have the 400% offer rate on what you get?
Random is random, but the difference in random and Discover is neutral and your class only. Random is any class.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was playing a big druid earlier, and I had the Tortolan Forager, and I pulled uh, that Greymane girl from the rogue class.
Yeah.
I wish that was any non-rogue cards, because then I just would have like gotten a ton of stuff. But it's any non-class cards of your class.
So interesting interaction with that card. If you have that card in your deck and you burgle a Death Knight from your opponent's class and then play the Death Knight, when you play Tess, it counts all your rogue cards as not your class cards.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah. So pretty sick.
So you would just like win the game. Oh, go back.
Okay.
Let's see. I put a couple of Lost Spirits in a deck that was like a Dorian,
Yeah.
just because I thought, oh, maybe I can, pull out some plus attacks. Didn't really work that well. Tried Vicious Scalehide in a Healadin, even Healadin, but right now goes back to the whole they're not being aggro, which makes that deck not very good. So that's what I've got so far. Blackwalled Pixie, I've seen people run with Taunt Warrior. Are you doing that?
No, I theory crafted 18 decks in the span of 2 evenings, and some of them like I was really in, and these weren't like I just threw random crap together. I took the time to try to like think about things that make sense, and looking back on them, I was like, okay, yeah, I obviously missed this synergy or this one's off. And Blackwalled Pixie was one of the cards that I think I just kind of passed on in favor of other things because I was theory crafting in Wild. There's more hero power interactions from the Grand Tournament
Right.
set that you can use in there, but I think this is just solid stats and a good battle cry, so I need to look into putting this into some of those decks.
Yeah, I played against that Taunt Warrior a couple times, and just like I said, this card's going to irritate me. I don't know why yet, but now I know why. It's because they can do 16 damage in a turn with Blackwalled Pixie.
Wow. Oh yeah, with the rag. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nuts.
It is nuts.
Okay. All right. On this page, Voodoo Doll.
I've seen that a lot.
Voodoo Doll's been nice because
It's good.
it incentivizes your opponent. It's like corruption, but not quite as bad, I think. It incentivizes your opponent to try to get trades and things like that. It kind of prevents them from doing big AoEs, or if they do, then their minion dies. It's nice because you can target a minion behind taunt, and then if you've got to run this into a taunt, it doesn't matter. It still kills the minion that you want. So that's been pretty good. That's really the only one I've messed around with too much. I'm surprised I didn't get any Nightmare Amalgams.
I got one. It's awesome. Not really. Voodoo Doll, yeah, I've only seen people trigger it the same turn they play it. Has really good synergy with every Warlock card, but especially like Dark Pact and what's the 2 mana deal 1 damage to all minions thing? Corrupt. It's not corrupt.
Warpath? Or no, for Warlock?
Yeah. And if any die, it does it again. Anyways, works really well with that card.
Oh,
because
Defile.
Define.
I thought you were talking about some like kind of obscure
No, yeah,
card.
really well with Defile, because then you can kill a big thing and you can also kill all the little stuff at the same time because you're getting 2 different charges off of it.
Yeah.
Marsh I pulled from. I don't even remember where I got it. I think I got it from Tortola and Forager again. But if you have any sort of like small AoE, like if you're playing Warrior or something, it's so easy to just kill the Drake Slayer and just have a 5/4.
Yeah.
So Marshdrake's actually seemingly really good. I think we're going to start seeing that a lot soon. Yeah. And Ravencaller and Tanglefur Mystic, I've played a lot with those two in that Shaman deck I was talking about. Just being able to generate massive amounts of value is awesome. And Tanglefur Mystic allows you to do that while it actually, advancing tempo. If you play it on turn 3, well, then they have the choice. Do I want to play a 2-mana card that guy just gave me? Or do I want to try and keep up with his tempo? And in which case, I'm having to try to keep up with a 3/4 on turn 3. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's also another card that potentially works with Mill.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, you can use it with with that Shaman deck. You can do that and Murmuring Elemental if you want to try and do some mill stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's I would say it's one of the better cards. Probably we're going to see that card a lot in the future, I think.
And I've basically haven't messed around too much with any of these cards. I have a few of them in my deck, but I haven't really pulled them too much. Life Drinker seems pretty good, even outside of the whole Shudderwalk combo thing. 4 mana, 3/3, swap 3 health is pretty solid.
Yeah, I've only ever seen it with the Shudderwalk, though. I played Witch's Cauldron in that one matchup against you. But once again, though, like I played it in the Shaman deck just because I was like, oh, you're getting Shaman spells, the Shaman deck makes sense. That deck just generates way too much value. Like I was just burning cards because I couldn't stop having a handful of cards.
That's how the Burgle deck in Rogue. But I was just play a card and be like, all right, well, I just burned like 3 cards because couldn't fit them all in my hand.
I really like that problem, though. I think that's a good problem to have, and if I can translate that into like a good tempo, then I think I can start having a lot of wins with value right now. I played Mad Hatter, been trying that one, but so far I've been unable to keep the board long enough to play it. But it seems really powerful.
Well, and it also tosses the hats to other minions, not your minions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you can keep the board, it's strong. Otherwise, it's crap.
What about in your Rush Warrior?
I didn't try it there. I tried it in my even cost Paladin, but that's not a bad idea. But that's probably like, I feel like if you want to play it the same turn you play the Rush, but I guess it doesn't matter that much. All right. Scale Worm seems really powerful. You're not going to try that in your Dragon Shaman deck or Dragon Hunter?
I don't know. I'll have to see if I can fit it in there if it makes sense. So. Okay, next up, what do we got here? Dollmaster. I actually, I had a couple decks that used Dollmaster. I didn't get him. I can't convince myself to craft him. You have him, so you talk about it.
Just craft him right now.
No. I can't. I crafted 3 legendaries, which is about 3 more than I usually craft. Well, it's like 2 more than I usually craft.
You know that dust has no intrinsic value? Like, there's nothing good about dust except for the fact that it gets you more cards. You know that, right? That's how it works.
But I keep this supply of dust, and then I know, like, I can always craft whatever card I want whenever I want.
Okay. Dollmaster Dorian I really can't talk that much about because I have yet to make a really successful deck. And even though he seems really good, I can't get him to work just because I can't make a deck that controls the board. So
Hmm.
I can't really talk about him. And I always draw him last, which makes him completely useless. Um, I have played with Rotten Applebaum though, which really good card. I
Yeah.
was surprised. I thought it was bad. It's really good. It buys you at least one turn in almost every circumstance. Like if you're about to die, you block attack, then you heal up. Yeah, it's really good.
It's just as good in Rogue as I thought it would be. There's so many ways to get 1/1 copies of it, or kill it, or copy it, or and
Yeah,
that healing is great. So,
I was trying to run it with Dollmaster Dorian and Book of Specters, but I can't get that deck to work yet.
hmm. What about Muck Hunter? Have you seen anybody using it?
I have, but I don't think they were using it right.
Hmm.
They played Muck Hunter and then they attacked one of the Mucklings. I feel like you should be going after bigger minions with Muck Hunter. Like that's kind of the point of it.
Right.
And then use like I don't know, Arcane Explosion or something to get rid of the Mucklings. So I think it's potentially really good, but I don't know.
And I know some decks are trying out the Clockwork Automaton with the double damage for like Hunter in particular. But I haven't tried it yet, so it seems a
And then
little high costed for Uh, I feel like if you're doing a lot of damage just with your Hunter hero power, like maybe you're being a little more aggressive. And I don't know, this doesn't seem to fit in with that. I guess.
so okay, so you're playing your Taunt Warrior deck. You brawl, then you drop Clockwork Automaton, then you Hero Shot, and then you play Blackwalled Pixie, Hero Shot again, then Blackwalled Pixie, and Hero Shot again. Wait, no, that's too many Hero Shots. Okay, so you do it twice. That's 32 damage in a turn, right?
Yeah, I could be sick.
It could be.
Have to give it a try. All right. So Greymane has been. I see a lot of people saying he's been underwhelming. I don't know. I like him. Uh, if
I think
nothing else,
people
for
are
the deck
probably,
building challenge.
yeah, I think people probably just haven't figured it out. I don't know why you
Yeah,
can
I
say
think it's gonna take more time, right,
yeah,
to figure out what
this
to
is
do with it.
overwhelming. My deck's
Yeah,
not OP. Hmm.
I saw a lot of people who were complaining about the fact that like he's totally useless because he doesn't make the Death Knight hero power free and blah blah. It's like, can you read the card? You're starting hero power. Like, come on, people.
Yeah, I think my Paladin deck has a lot of potential just being able to constantly generate 1/1s. I feel like I'm like some sort of adventure boss or something, because that's totally the kind of hero powers that they give adventure bosses.
Well, and in Wild, there are some different cards that trigger off of your hero powers, like Frost Giant is cheaper for every time you use your hero power. So, getting cheap Frost Giants out is pretty good. What I've found is that I almost never draw a Frost Giant and then am like, yeah, this is a good time to play it, but I have it in my hand at some point, and eventually I get to the point where it's free, or I've got 2 leftover mana and it costs 2, and I'm like, okay, I'll drop him for 2, as a just kind of like a additional 8/8 on the board, and that's been pretty good. So I definitely like the concept of the one cost hero power. Shaman can do some pretty nasty stuff with Totem plus Cryo Freeze.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I haven't tried that. On turn 3, that'd be sick.
Oh, it's actually it's turn 2. So
Well, oh yeah.
turn
If you
1
can keep it
Totem,
alive,
turn
I
1
would
Totem,
just
turn 2 Cryo Freeze, and you basically have a 3/5 most of the time.
yeah. Yeah, it seems really solid. It has been challenging so far because the tricky thing about this whole even odd thing is having the right number of different mana cost cards. Like,
Mm.
normally when you're constructing a deck, you can
Yep.
be like, well, okay, I'm going to be losing on turns 1 and 2, then I'm going to drop Volcanic Potion on turn 3, start retaking the board, turn 4,
Thanks.
turn 5. But now it's like, Okay, hero power. Okay, turns 2 and turns 3, I can only play 2 cost cards. Turn 4, I can either play one 4 mana card or two 2 mana cards. There's no more like mix and match. Oh, well, it's turn 5, I can do a 3 and a 2 or a 4 and a 1. It's like you have to know exactly how many of
There's
each
yeah,
different card you
I've
need to put in so you're
I've
not
played
behind the game.
several of these, and that is the thing. It's there's a certain point in even and odd cost cards around, I'd say, turns 3 to 6, where you're like, this doesn't quite feel like I'm supposed to be able to play this card in hero power, but like you're playing an odd cost deck or something, and maybe the 3 cost, you don't have a 3 cost card, or the 3 cost card doesn't make sense to play right now.
Right.
So you're like, well, I was supposed to be able to do something here, but I'm just hitting hero power for one with 2 leftover mana, or it's turn 4, and it's like, well, this doesn't really make sense. There's definitely, I think, between turn 3 and 5 or 6 for both these types of decks, there's a spot where I was starting to realize as I was playing, like, something's a little bit off. And I think one of the hunter decks I tried was using Greymane, because the idea was like, okay, I hero power on 1, I come out on turn 2, I play aggressive, I just hero power, hero power, hero power every chance I get, play some aggressive minions. But what ended up happening is there were these points where I realized, like, okay, but a lot of these like support cards that make this deck even stronger, like do your hero power twice, or that kind of stuff, they don't fit in, like you just naturally can't be as aggressive as if you can go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, 5 drop. So there's a weird balance. And
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if someone had figured it out, by now, exactly how that would work amongst all the classes, right? Some of them seem pretty obvious, and I think there are a couple, like Hunter, Mage, and Warrior, all have an odd or even archetype that's working pretty well right now, but that's 3 out of 18 different archetypes.
Yeah.
So,
What I'm thinking I'm probably going to end up trying is like basically doing like a reverse Fibonacci sequence on my card. So like have like, I don't know, 10 2 manas, then 5 4 manas, then 3 6 manas, then like 2 8 manas and one 10 mana or something. Because I am having a lot of trouble trying to fit the cards and the hero power together. So I need smaller cards to like be kind of the mortar between the big bricks, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
it does, and I think that is something like that is like spot on for what needs to be done. So what else on this page? I got Ashmore, but I haven't used her yet. Just because in most classes I'm having a hard time finding like a Rush Lifesteal Death Rattle combo that I like, and also synergizes with the deck and isn't just like I threw these in because it tells me to.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't have her, but if I did, I might try her in Hunter with um what's that card? The 4 mana give a minion 3/3.
yeah, Dire Frenzy, but it's a
Yeah,
it's a beast specifically.
right. And then I would get like a Lifesteal Beast and a Rush Beast and try and play one on each of those and play Countess Ashmore and be like, I got these back and now they're huge. Um, Witchwood Grizzly, I've been working with some, and it is really frustrating for people to play against. Like playing against things like Secret Mage kind of style stuff.
uh,
They're like, okay, well, he dropped Witchwood Grizzly, so now I have to switch straight to just do all my damage to his face because I can't get through this. So Witchwood Grizzly's actually been performing really solidly for me.
Yeah, I think that carries into a card on the next page, which is Wormguard.
Yeah, you played that with Enorus?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm done.
7 mana, 22 taunt, and I had another one in hand. Like, it's like, what the hell do you even do to that? Like, you gotta have hard removal.
Hard removal or
Um,
silence. Yeah. And I did.
and yeah, yeah. I mean, even just as a 4/11, it's still like, what the heck? And the 4/11 is great because priest, can't just be like, oh, shadow word pain, shadow word death. It's like, nope, sorry, it's right there in the middle. They did it. It's conditional. Like, if you don't have a dragon, you drop it as a 3/11. It can get pained. But if you got one, 4/11,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Oh, and I played a little bit with Azalina on the last page,
Mm.
and but she's kind of like I've just run out of everything else I can try and do, but I think she might have a spot, but I just haven't found it yet.
I have her in one of the Burgle Rogues that I theorycraft did. I obviously didn't get her, but I figured, like, well, at some point, if you're looking at your hand and you're like, it's pretty much garbage spells from a different class or whatever, play her and get a nice hand of your opponent's card, which have a much higher percentage chance of being good compared to the random ones you get, and they still count towards your tests. So, but I didn't get her, so I haven't been able to try it out and see whether it actually makes sense or not.
Yeah. And of the rest, I've only played Splitting Fester Root in an arena deck, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because there's such a lack of like decent removal, and AoE just doesn't work on him. People will go nuts trying to get rid of him, and it just doesn't work. He's really solid. So, but I once again not constructed. So,
yeah. All right. So that's taking a look back at some of the cards that came out and just kind of our initial impressions. A day or so into the expansion. So let's talk. Now that we kind of skirted around some of the decks we've been playing, maybe just talk about a couple of decks you've been messing with a little more specifically, and what you're enjoying about them, I guess.
I've already talked a good bit about my warrior deck. Just the whole rush mechanic really seems like it's just balanced out warrior in general. It's made it a much more solid class because it can just own the board for most of the game. Woodcutter's Axe is really solid. You play it on 2, and you hit their face or whatever minion they played, and then turn 3 you play Rabid Worgen. You hit their face again. Now you've got a 5/4 rush that can clear anything on the board on turn 3. It's a really solid 2/3 turn if you get that, or you can play Woodcutter's Axe and then Red Band Wasp on turn 3, and then you've got a 3/4 that becomes a 6/3 if it takes damage. So yeah, Woodcutter's Axe is awesome. Militia
are you using Town Crier?
I don't have it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it seems that seems really strong. It seems better than Recruit.
Yeah, Town Crier is awesome. I wish I had Town Crier, but no, I do not.
And what sort of now is this a standard? Standard.
Yep.
Okay. So
it's standard.
What sort of neutral cards are you been messing around with that?
Oh, I'd have to look at it. Do we have time for that or no?
Yeah. In the meantime, I'll talk about. I've been playing a Dragon Hunter, right? I saw Carrion Drake and just wanted to make something with it, and that's kind of where this all spawned from, was like this poisonous Dragon Hunter. It's good for my minions to die sort of hunter, and it's been a lot of fun. I don't know how great it is. There's some mixed synergies here I need to sort out, but it's been fun. I've been using Volcanic Drake from Blackrock Mountain in Wild. Some other dragons in there. Got my Nether Spites. Don't want to go into too much detail, but it's basically poisonous minions. Rush, let your stuff die, have a dragon package in there for big power and late game value, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it pretty solidly crushed my rush deck when I played against you because I just couldn't stick anything with all the poisonous stuff going on,
Yeah.
and it seemed pretty solid.
All right. So what's a couple of the neutral cards you've been incorporating in that warrior deck?
I've got Charged Devilsaur, which is
Okay.
almost rush. I wouldn't say that really. I don't know if I have any other neutrals, but there are some really cool synergies that show up with some older um, warrior cards that you wouldn't initially think would work, like cards that people are just they're bad cards, is what people would say. Commanding Shout is really powerful with rush. You can get a couple rushes on the board
Yeah.
and just pushing. That's really solid. Sudden Genesis is insane with rush. So a lot of times what I'll end up doing is I'll drop a couple rush minions. I'll have them both attack and kill two smaller things on the board. Then sudden Genesis, and I've got two more rush minions that can kill anything else on the board. So I can just turn the entire board in one turn around turn 10 if I need to against like maybe a wall of Void Walkers or something.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's pretty solid, and because I've got two of the axes, and right now I only have one Blood Razor, but I'm probably going to put in another. I actually have the Spellstones, which also synergize with Sudden Genesis, and they synergize with Blood Razor. Um, so that card's actually been working out really well. Geosculptor, yep, I haven't gotten to work yet because I haven't been keeping the board enough. Rampage is really strong with Rush because you almost always have a minion left over with health at the end of the turn, and you can just Rampage it the next turn if it stays alive. And you're just immediately getting that damage on it, so you don't have to try to damage it later. So there are a ton of ways to gain lots and lots of tempo really quickly with between Rampage and Sudden Genesis.
Yeah, I really
So
like the concept of utilizing the rush minions to get guaranteed damage procs. That seems really good. Yeah, that's
it is. It is. It works really well. Frothing Berserker goes insane because you can just keep the board with rush minions and he just keeps getting bigger. So I recommend somebody refining this deck and making it better because I definitely think there's a lot of potential here.
so. I think for my other one, let's see. I've got the priest deck that I was talking about, that I've been messing around with. Like, does this even have anything from this expansion?
It's
It
got the
does.
pumpkin.
So the pumpkin is a sub in for a card that I was missing. I wanted the mana geodes, but I don't have them. So the big thing about this deck, even though it doesn't use shouldn't be using any of these priest cards, is it uses Gin Greymane, so that I can get the hero power for 1. Which means, yeah, turn 1, I'm not doing anything. But, I mean, turn 1, turn 2 on Priest, a lot of times you're not doing anything anyway. Maybe you drop a Northshire Cleric. But if your opponent drops nothing, you're pinging for 1. I didn't feel like it was that big of a loss. And in exchange for that, I get a 1 mana hero power. And it's not that big of a deal to I don't really care how much the hero power heals for. I care how many times I heal because there's Frost Giant in here. This is a Cthulhu deck, and so it uses Hooded Acolyte. So every time you heal a character, your Cthulhu gets +1/+1. Holy Champion gets +2 attack every time it's healed. You've got Auchenai, so if you have that down, it's a upgraded mage hero power for 1, right? Shadow Boxers, Beckoner of Evil, just buffing up your Cthulhu, healing your stuff, buffing it. This is the one that I want Lady in White for, but I can't convince myself to craft it yet because you're looking at 6/6 on Dirty Rat, 3/3. 5/5, 5/5, 6/6, 6/6, all kinds of good targets for the Lady in White to just cast all that stuff on, and then you just have even bigger stuff getting buffed. And the idea is just you kind of control the board, heal your stuff. That gets you cheap frost giants and buffs up your Cthulhu, and then you can eventually drop Cthulhu as a win condition if you haven't been able to kill your opponent before that. So,
And it seems like you might be able to.
yeah. So, pretty
I
interesting.
like that. I like that a lot. I used to use Raza before the Anduin was a thing, just because being able to just constantly hero power and heal yourself, you'll get in an extra 20 healing a game just without even thinking about it.
Yeah, and I mean, even being even, you still get the guaranteed, as long as you draw them, you get +4/+4 on Cthulhu from Beckoner of Evil. And then there's a couple other things in here. Some Spiteful Summoners. I need to get rid of Light Bomb, but Spiteful Summoners because you have Free from Amber and a Mind Control to just summon extra big stuff. So, yeah, it's good. I like it. I need to refine it, but it's fun.
Success with any of your stuff? Like on the ladder or anything? Haven't been trying?
So, I mean, I started with 18 decks and just kind of went through and tried to play all of them at least. I tried all of them against the Innkeeper just to find... I just do that to figure out how mechanics work quickly because I can, quit out as soon as I'm like, oh, okay, yep, got it. And then I started playing wild casual with each of the decks. And I think by that time, I'd played the Innkeeper, I'd done a couple of things, and I got through 4 or 5 decks, and then I needed to go to bed. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Got a couple odds and evens, good stuff. So, any other notable things you've been trying that you've been kind of excited about besides your Rush Warrior?
Rush Warrior. I already talked about my Value Shaman and Agatha. I already talked about my Witching Hour Druid. I've already talked about my Even Paladin. I talked briefly about my Mage that I'm trying to get to work with Dorian. That's not working. Let's see, what are some of the other concepts I came up with last night when we were playing? I've got to steal everything Wild Rogue that I haven't tried. Got to steal everything Priest that I played against you.
So what class have you been having the least success or least fun with, or like what class or couple of classes, I guess? Because we did this last time. We said, hey, we're gonna pick this, this class. We're gonna do it, and we picked Warrior, and neither one of us could think of decks for Warrior for Kobolds and Catacombs that were like actually fun.
It worked.
So I like to put those off for as long as possible. I know for me, I'm having a lot of trouble with Mage, and
I have trouble with Mage as well.
Shaman, I'm kind of just wanting to avoid because of the whole Shutterwalk thing.
Yeah, so let's avoid Mage and Shaman and Warlock, because that's what's happening.
All right, well, in that case, this will pretty much just about wrap up the stream. We just need to pick a class for our deck showcase next week. So if you're not familiar with the format, which if you've just found us and you haven't been to my other random channel where we streamed before and all you've seen is card reveal reviews up until now, basically what we do is we come every week, we pick a new class, and we try to showcase a deck from that class, preferably that uses the cards from the latest expansion. We're not necessarily showcasing like tier 1, tier 0 type decks, but just fun decks that don't totally suck and make use of the new cards and new mechanics and things like that. So we'll pick a class.
It's fun decks that win sometimes.
Right. So we'll both bring a deck, and we'll showcase the deck and go over, the cards, substitutions you can make, that kind of stuff, and play a couple games with it. So, do you want to pick first this time, or? We know what we're avoiding, so there's 6 classes we can mess with.
Rogue, Priest, Paladin, Hunter. Let's do Hunter because you already got that dragon thing you're working with. Unless you want to try and make a new deck,
Well,
or
you
if not,
don't have anything for Hunter yet, so
right?
we can hold off on Hunter until you have some ideas if you want.
No, I can come up with something.
All right, we'll do Hunter then.
Hunter,
So expect me to have a more refined version of this Dragon Hunter.
I will, and then
And
we'll fight each other.
well, and yeah, I think this borrow decks thing is going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that because you know, maybe you'll build a cool Doll Master Dorian deck, and I can play against you and borrow it and see how it works. Maybe it'll
Uh,
convince me to craft it.
Maybe we'll see.
So, all right, well, that's going to do it for the stream today. We will be back next Friday showcasing some Hunter decks for the Witchwood meta, and we'll continue on after that. 9 weeks of classes, unless Blizzard throws some kind of special event in there, and then we'll take time to highlight that. And then we'll go from there afterwards. Maybe showcase a marina or, whatever we come up with. We got 9 weeks to figure it out. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.